What's up, Skins Nation? Welcome to another edition of Pigskin Facts, History, and News. Hail to the Redskins. We're getting closer and closer to the regular season. We have one more preseason game left against the Baltimore Ravens. And on the 8th of September, we have our first game of the year, first regular season game of the year against the Philadelphia Eagles. I am really excited. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend so far. And we're going to get started with things today. I am really fired up, and I'm liking the way that my team is playing right now. We won our preseason game the other night. Okay, first we're going to get started on some trivia questions. And before I do that, I'd just like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Keep watching. Scroll down. Give me your comments. I haven't had any comments so far, and I really would like to hear from you. If you have any ideas or anything, thoughts on what you think about the show, or perhaps you may have ideas that I can incorporate to make this program better, let me know. Scroll down to the bottom. There's a comment section at the bottom. You can type it in and put them in there. If this is your first time watching, thank you. Hit that subscribe button. If you've already been tuned in, thank you so much. Much love to you. My love goes out to you, Hell Skins Nation. All right, trivia questions. This is as promised that I will give the answers to the trivia questions from the last segment. The first one, what was the Redskins' record of wins and losses in 2017 and 2018 combined? What was the Redskins' record of wins and losses in 2017 and 2018 seasons combined? Answer, 14 wins and 18 losses. 14 wins and 18 losses. 2017, the Redskins finished 7-9, and 2018, they finished 7-9. So that culminates and adds up to a record of 14 wins and 18 losses. Come on, Skins. We got to do better this year, guys. Come on now. Stay healthy. Stay healthy. Stick in there. Hang in there. Win games. We can do it. Number 2. Who took over as head coach after Joe Gibbs left after his first stint as Redskins head coach? Who took over as head coach after Joe Gibbs left after his first stint as the Redskins head coach? Answer, Richie Pettibone. 1993. Richie Pettibone, 1993, took over. The former defensive coordinator who was under Joe Gibbs' tenure as his time as head coach of the Redskins. He took over the year after Joe Gibbs left, the 1992 season. Richie Pettibone. Okay. Number 3. On October 17th, 1983, the Redskins lost a Monday night game by 1 point, their second highest scoring game in team history. Who did they play and what was the score? On October 17th, 1983, if I said 93, excuse me. On October 17th, 1983, the Redskins lost a Monday night football game by 1 point in their second highest scoring game in team history. Who did they play and what was the score? Answer, the Redskins lost to the Green Bay Packers 48-47 on that Monday night game, which totaled 95 combined points. The highest total, of course, of all time was the Redskins and the Giants, 113 points in a 1966 game, which the Redskins won 72-41. But this night, the Redskins lost by 1 point. It was 48-47 against the Green Bay Packers. I was a little kid. I saw that game, and I tell you, that game was a barn burner. I mean, it was awesome from top to finish. I mean, there was no defense. Defense didn't even exist in that game. It was just pure offense and a combination of luck and crazy plays, and it was wild. It was wild. We had a chance. Actually, we had a chance to win that game at the end, but I think We were driving for a field goal, and we couldn't get deep enough into Green Bay territory to kick the field goal, and time ran out, and unfortunately, we lost by 1 point. But that's another fact in Redskins history. It was 95 combined points, and that was the second highest total in team history as far as combined points in a game. Okay, we're going to go to our history section, and we're going to go back in time to the 1982 season. And that was a very, very prosperous time in the history of the Washington Redskins, because prior to that, we had only been to one Super Bowl. We won 5 NFL championships back in the 1940s. And 1982 was a year of change for the Washington Redskins. During the course of the 70s, the early 70s, head coach Joe Allen, he brought a winning tradition back to the Redskins. He brought a winning culture. Then his final season, 1977, he faded. Then the Redskins went back into obscurity as a team and as a franchise. But 1982 was a very special season. The year before, 1981, Coach Joe Gibbs was hired. The Redskins went 0-5 in the first 5 games. And their last 11 games, they went 8-3, and they finished the year 8-8. That was his first year as a head coach. The second year, things got a little more settled in, and the Redskins were a better team than they were a year before. But something had taken place in the 1982 season that there was a 2-month gap of playing football because there was due to a strike. And it was from a collective bargaining agreement where a deadline was not met by the NFLPA. And so things were forced to slow down, and there were no games. And the players went on strike. And there were a few games. There was a game or two, from what I remember, where the Redskin players had replacements. And the players kind of hated that. You know, they did not like it. But Joe Gibbs, as coach, he still had to operate as coach. And I remember there was a particular game where the Redskins beat the Cowboys by their replacements. And the score, I think the score was 13-7. And the Cowboys, a lot of their players were missing as well due to the strike. And they had a few players on their team that played that were regular players. And actually, the Redskins that went in there and won the game. And there was a quarterback, I think his name was Tony Robinson, played for the Redskins at the time. And this guy was on a prison release work program, and he came in as a quarterback and helped them to win the game. So that was wild. That was wild. Big part of history. But that season, after the 2-month layoff, they came back and they resumed play. And the 1982 season in the NFL was a time of adversity, trial, and error. But it was a time of renewal, and it was a time of rebirth for the Washington Redskins. And the Redskins finished the 1982 season with an 8-1 record en route to a Cinderella season and a Super Bowl berth at Super Bowl 17. Kicker Mark Mosley, he became the first kicker ever to be named Most Valuable Player, MVP, after converting 20 of 21 field goals. That's a 952 percentage. Wow. And hitting a record 23 straight field goals. I believe that record's been broken to this day, but back then it was an all-time record. He had kicked 23 straight field goals dating back to the 1981 season. And his field goal, he kicked the field goal in the last seconds of a game against the New York Giants, where the New York Giants were leading 14-12. And the Redskins, quarterback by Joe Theismann at that time, drove down the field, got in field goal position. His time was running out in that game. It was a cold afternoon. It was wet, and it was snowing. And kicker Mark Mosley comes out, time running down. They set up and they kick it. Mark Mosley kicks it through, and the Redskins go to the playoffs because of that kick, and they beat the New York Giants 15-14 in that game, and that catapulted them into the playoffs, and the rest is history. John Riggins, he ran for a total of 610 yards in 4 playoff games, and it was one of the most spectacular performances in all of those games in NFL history through his running. Quarterback Joe Theismann, NFC's top-rated passer, he had a 91.3 passer rating in the NFL. It was the highest at that time, and he won an NFL Player of the Year award. Charlie Brown and Art Monk, the wide receivers of the Washington Redskins, they had 67 catches between them for more than 1,100 yards. Charlie Brown caught 8 touchdown passes, and their defense was dominant, giving up the fewest points in the NFL. And the mastermind behind it all was head coach Joe Gibbs, as he won NFL Coach of the Year. So it was just a wonderful year for the Washington Redskins all the way around. They defeated the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions in the playoffs en route to the Super Bowl. And Super Bowl 17 was a Super Bowl rematch of the Washington Redskins and the Miami Dolphins. And the Redskins won that game 27-17. And if you didn't watch that game, go back and watch it on YouTube, and you'll see that iconic run by running back John Riggins. It was 4th down and 1. The Redskins were trailing in the game at the time, 17-13. It was 4th and 1 at the Washington 43-yard line, I believe it was. And they called the play. They called the run. It was a sweep to the left-hand side. Cornerback Don McNeil tried to make the tackle on John Riggins. He was hanging, but he slid off of him. And John Riggins broke around the corner for a 66-yard touchdown run. And the Redskins went ahead, and they went on to win that game and the Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl berth. Hail to the Redskins, 27-17. And that was our segment in history. And now we're going to go to our shining moment, our gem of the day. And that takes us back to January 4th, 1992. And I remember that day just like it was yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the whole game. I had to work that day. It was on a Sunday. It sucked. But, however, the Redskins were in a playoff game. It was the NFC divisional playoff game as we go back in time. January 4th, 1992. And the Redskins, it was at RFK Stadium. There was 55,181 people in attendance. And their opponent was the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, they were a young team at that time. And they had recently drafted one of the greatest corners of all time, Neon Deion, or as we call him, Primetime, Deion Sanders, was a young buck on that team at the time. The Atlanta Falcons were head coached by Jerry Glanville, who was always clad in black. The Atlanta Falcons had changed their uniforms. They used to wear red uniforms and red helmets with the black Falcon emblem, but now they had changed it to all black, and they were pretty much like the villain, and they were something like the villains in a motion picture movie or like a cowboy flick, like a Black Bart type. They were cocky, they were young, they were brash, they were trash talkers, and earlier that year, the Redskins had played the Atlanta Falcons. They had played the same team, and they had whooped them. Quarterback Mark Rippon had passed for 442 yards in a career day, 6 touchdown passes. And the Redskins had beat the Atlanta Falcons. They beat the brakes off the Atlanta Falcons. It was 56-17. But fast forward, some months later, January 4th, 1992, was the NFC divisional playoff game. The Atlanta Falcons had just come in off of defeating, I believe it was Minnesota in a wild card game. Either it was Minnesota or Detroit. Can't remember. But anyway, they came in this game. They were 12. The record was 12-5. The Redskins, of course, had finished the season 14-2. They had totally dominated the NFL, and they were Super Bowl bound. And Atlanta, they came into this game. They were trash talking pregame trash talking. They were talking crap to the Redskins, and they made a reference to the iconic fight song, our fight song called Hell to the Redskins. Well, Atlanta had a song that they sang called To Hell, Hell, to the Redskins. Well, to Hell to you Falcons, because the Redskins handled their business, and they didn't do it by trash talking, but they translated it on the field, and they made the Atlanta Falcons pay. They pounded them. Okay, so the Atlanta Falcons marched into RFK Stadium to the tune of their number one cheerleader, MC Hammer, who had a song that was their theme song at the time. Too legit to quit, too legit to quit, Well, what was too legit was the fact that the Redskins were going to whoop the Atlanta Falcons again, and the only quitting was going to be by the Falcons. And that's exactly what happened. MC Hammer, Evander Holyfield, a couple of celebrities that were Atlanta Falcon fans, they attended that game. They were on the sidelines, and it was going to be a very, very long day. It was cold. It was wet. It was muddy. The conditions were sloppy. And that's the conditions of that favored the Hogs, the Washington Redskins. And let's get into it. So, it was total disrespect. They sang that song. It was total disrespect. Hail to the Redskins. I feel like I need to sing the song to cover up that disrespect. Hail to the Redskins. Hail victory. Praise on the warpath. Fight for old DC. Run up past the score. We want a lot more. Beat them, stomp them, touchdown, let the points soar. Fight on, till you have won. Sons of Washington. Rah, rah, rah. Hail to the Redskins. Hail victory. Praise on the warpath. Fight for old DC. Take that, Atlanta. So, that game started. The conditions, it was brutally windy in that game. Muddy, sloppy. It was wet. It was raining. The Redskins ran the ball at will. They pounded the Atlanta Falcons. They ran for a total of 162 yards in that game. They were led by a rookie running back out of USC by the name of Ricky Irvins. Maybe many of you old head Redskin fans remember him. In that game, he ran for 104 yards. Gerald Riggs plowed through from the goal line on a couple occasions, and that put the Redskins up early, 14-0. And they methodically held the ball and controlled the clock for 36 minutes out of 60 minutes of that game. They dominated. They held the ball. Meanwhile, the defense shut down the Atlanta Falcons. They held them to a total of 193 yards. The Atlanta Falcons quarterback at the time was Chris Miller. He threw 4 interceptions. The Redskins basically turned them back and shut down the Atlanta running game and their wide receivers, Andre Rison and Michael Haynes. They pretty much held them to virtually nothing. So the Redskins dominated that game. They scored again in the second half, kicked the field goal, and the final score was 24-7. And that was our shining moment. And MC Hammer, Evander Holyfield walked away on the field that day disappointed as their beloved Atlanta Falcons got pounded by our Washington Redskins. The Redskins, as you know, they went on throughout the playoffs. They won the NFC Championship game. They went to the Super Bowl, and we beat the Buffalo Bills that year, 37-24. Mark Rippon won the Most Valuable Player Award. And that is pretty much what happened. So, with all that said, let's go to our trivia questions for next week. Actually, I'm going to come off the top of my head because I know a little bit. Okay. What year? Okay, let's see. What shall I ask? Okay, got one. What year was Sonny Jurgensen? What year did quarterback Sonny Jurgensen come to the Washington Redskins. He was drafted originally by the Philadelphia Eagles, but he was traded to the Washington Redskins. What year was quarterback Sonny Jurgensen traded? And, okay, let me put it like this. I'm sorry, scratch that. What year did Sonny Jurgensen get traded to the Washington Redskins? Now, that sounds much, much better. Okay, what year did Sonny Jurgensen get traded to the Washington Redskins? Okay, number two. How did quarterback Joe Theismann end his career? What ended quarterback Joe Theismann's Washington Redskins career? What ended quarterback Joe Theismann's career? Okay. Also, last question. Washington Redskins head coach Norv Turner. Did he coach any of his teams to the playoffs? Washington Redskins head coach Norv Turner, during his tenure as head coach, did he lead the Redskins to the playoffs? True or false? One more time. Head coach Norv Turner, did he, during his tenure, lead the Redskins to the playoffs? True or false? I will have those answers on the next segment of Pigskin Facts, History, and News. I promise. Okay, Redskins news. The latest news, the Redskins, you know that they won their preseason game Thursday night against the Atlanta Falcons. In Atlanta, they beat them 19-7. There was one injury. Jordan Reed got hit on a helmet-to-helmet contact on one of the plays. His helmet was knocked off. I'm sure you all saw it when you saw the game. He's going through concussion protocol. Don't know what the timetable is on that, but I'm pretty sure he should be okay. So I'm pretty sure that they're going to give him time and rest before he gets cleared. And it's just an unfortunate shame that happened, because he's like one of our key players, and we need Jordan Reed, of all people, to stay healthy. Pretty much takes from the game that I saw. The offense moved the ball a little better. Case Keenum, he came in the game and he got rid of the ball. He made some passes. He did throw an interception. He forced it on one play. Probably shouldn't have did that. But other than that, he moved the ball well, got out of the pocket. Footwork was great. Darius Geis was the player of the game. Darius Geis, the long-awaited, our running back we drafted from LSU last year in the second round. It's been a long time coming, and it's been long awaited since preseason of last year, when of course he tore his ACL and he was out for the year. So it was great to have him back. He had 11 carries for 44 yards, and he looked great. Has good vision running the football, patient running behind the line. Couple plays they stuffed him, but for the most part, he was gaining good yardage. He had a 12-yard run on one run. It was phenomenal. And we have a running back, you guys. We have AP, we have Adrian Peterson, but now we got Darius Geis back. And I believe that we're going to have a very strong running game this year. And our defense was just awesome all the way around the board. And our front four, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle, those guys up front are young, they're strong, they're hungry, and they are vicious. And we are going to shock and surprise a lot of people this year. And we are going to dominate, I believe, a lot of games with our defense. Look out. So, One player that stuck out to me that's been doing well all preseason is linebacker Casanova McKenzie. This guy coming off the edge is fast, and this guy is a motor. He's nonstop, and I believe he had a sack. I believe he did have a sack on one of the Atlanta quarterbacks. But this guy is always around the ball. He gets around that end, and he's just quick. But I've seen him impress. I've been impressed with him all throughout the preseason, watching the preseason games. Number 58, Casanova McKenzie. So I see this guy actually making the roster, at least as a reserve. The worst that he could be is, on the practice squad. But I really see him making this team. My boy Dwayne Haskins came in the game. He did well. I see improvements with him. He's getting rid of the ball quicker, and he's making good decisions to get rid of the ball when he can't find no one open. So he's learning. He finished 7 of 13 for 74 yards, and he's going to get better. He's going to get better, and I just see him in a couple years dominating the game. I'd say give him 2 years' time, and he's going to be on top of the game in 2 years' time, and he's going to be one quarterback to be reckoned with. And I'm glad that right now that we have a quarterback in front of him where he can sit and learn, and we don't have to put all stress on him by throwing him into the fire. I think we need to continue, let him sit, let him learn, just like he did at Ohio State. And when he finally got to play, you saw what he did. He dominated the college scene. And he will again in the NFL. He will be a dominant quarterback for the Washington Redskins. Look out, Giants. Look out, Eagles. Look out, Cowgirls. So, also, special teams, that improved. Special teams improved. Robert Davis was in on a couple of the fumbles by the Atlanta Falcons on punt returns. He recovered one, and on another one, cost another one. That guy's going to make this team. I really want to see him make it. He's caught 2 touchdown passes, caught 2 bombs from Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, and he's even involved in special teams. This guy is a player, and I really want to see him make it. So that's all I have. Getting ready for the season. I'm looking forward to the first game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And already I hear Eagles fans, and I even hear some Redskin fans, shame on you for doubting our Redskins and thinking, oh, well, the Eagles are going to win it. No. That's why they play the game. We are going to beat the Eagles the first week of the season, and we owe them payback from last year. We haven't forgotten, Eagles. Your time is coming, and we are going to spear you. Not spare you, but spear you. So, looking forward to that. We have one more final preseason game. I believe it's on Thursday night of this week against the Baltimore Ravens, the Battle of the Beltway. So that ought to be an interesting game. Pretty much they'll probably start all of the new players to evaluate them and to see who's going to be kept and who's going to be cut. So that ought to be interesting. So that game also will be on NBC4. And it'll also be on the Baltimore Ravens network. It'll be on, I think it's Channel 8 if you have cable. So check that out. Start time, 7:30 Thursday night. All right? So with all that said, Hellskins Nation, I love you guys. Have a great weekend. And I will see you again on the next segment of Pigskin Facts, History, and News. And I am your host, Fred Watson Jr. Peace.